Hi everyone, this is Dr. Vaughn again. This time I'm going to make a short video about completing your worked out homework and my expectations for what I'd like to see you try to do in your worked out homework moving forward. So starting in Module 4, but I'm going to go back and look at a question from Module 1. This is worked out homework, Module 1, Section 6.4, and we're going to look at question number 93. So what I have pulled up over here is the HTML version of your textbook. You can access this through the MyLabs Plus. You can access an HTML version of your textbook if you don't want to use the text version of it. So here's question 93, and in this HTML version, you can actually copy and then paste into a Word document. So it's a nice way to take the problem statement without having to type the whole thing and bring it over. However, as you see here, it hasn't necessarily come over cleanly. So I'm going to delete part of this whole part that has the formula that we're going to work with. And instead, I'm going to just typeset this myself using the equation editor. So the equation editor, if you haven't used it before, I think most of you said you have. But if I go up to insert and the equation, then I can type the same thing. So C equals 20 plus 0.40 parentheses x minus 60. Okay, so C equals 20 plus 0.40. Now I'll use the parentheses tool under the bracket. And put in the x minus 60. So now I have kind of a cleaner version of that formula showing up. I'll delete this other stuff, which is just some subscript, gives the monthly cost for the plan C for x calling minutes, where x is bigger than 60. Okay, I'm going to delete this part over here and just kind of clean up the statement of the problem. How many calling minutes are possible for a monthly cost? You don't have to quote the question statement. I can go to the book and actually see it, but it kind of gives a little bit of an easy way of bringing the reader, if you will, into the statement, and it only really took me less than a minute to do that. But again, you don't have to do that part of it. Now let's work on the response. All right, so how many calling minutes are possible for a monthly cost of at least 28 and at most 40? So we're first going to put in this 28 for the C and set up an inequality. So we want the cost to be greater than or equal to 28. We're setting this up as an inequality. Okay, so first we set C equal to 28 and write an inequality for x. So I'm plugging in. You can say plug in C equals 28 and write an inequality for x. Now I'll go to the equation editor, insert, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to replace the C with 28, and that's the cost, and it needs to be at least 28. So now I need the cost is going to be bigger than or equal to 28. And the cost is given by this formula. So the result of this formula needs to turn out to be bigger than or equal to 28, which is going to be a less than or equal to because the cost is on the left-hand side. So I'll use the less than or equal to 20 plus, and then I can even copy part of a formula that I already have into this formula down here. Okay, solving for x, we get. Okay, now I can show most of the steps here. I'm going to subtract 28 from both sides. 8 is less than or equal to 0.40 times parentheses x minus 60. Divide by 0.40. So I'm just kind of narrating what I'm doing in each step as I simplify this thing. So 8 divided by 0.40. is 20. I don't need the parentheses anymore. And finally, add 60. So when I add 60, I'm going to have 80, and then I'm going to turn this around. X is bigger than or equal to 80. Okay, now we'll do the other boundary by plugging in C equals 40. So I'll copy this over. I'll paste it in, and I'll replace the 28 with a 40. And then instead of less than or equal to, we're going to make this into a greater than or equal to. Okay. Simplify this inequality to get, now I'll subtract 20 from both sides. 20 is bigger than or equal to 0.40 times parentheses x minus 60. Divide by 0.40. So 20 divided by 0.40 is 50. And add 60. Get x, so we'll turn this around, less than or equal to 110. Okay, so now I've kind of solved the problem. Yeah, let's go all the way back up. How many calling minutes are possible for a monthly cost of at least 28 and at most $40? One can call between, bigger than 80 minutes and 110 minutes. I'm including units. I'm writing a complete sentence that contextualizes my response to keep their cost between $28 and $40. Period. All right, so what I've done here, I stated the question up at the top. That part is optional. I've tried to guide the reader through showing all of the steps of my math computations. I've tried to use sentences along the way to explain what I'm doing in addition to showing the computation. And at the very end, I used a complete sentence to contextualize my answer back in the context of the original question. And this is how I'd like you to consider trying to do your application problems at the very least on your worked out homework. Again, it doesn't need to be quite this long. It can be. I certainly wouldn't mind, but I think that you can do this in a pretty efficient manner. We've done this in, what, about 5, maybe 6, 7, 8 minutes for this one question. So times the, 10 questions you have to do on a weekly basis. All right, so this has been a little bit of video feedback for the entire class. about my expectations for how I'd like you to try using the equation editor, complete sentences, and showing all of your work in your worked out homework in the future. And I will talk to you next time.